The women's 1,500 meters is often described as the perfect balance between speed, endurance, and tactics, and this race proved exactly why. What looked like a slow and controlled opening quickly developed into one of the most intense finishes of the season. In this video, we'll break down every key moment, from the early positioning battle to the decisive final lap. We'll analyze the tactics, the pacing, the critical moves that shaped the outcome, and explain why one perfectly timed acceleration left the rest of the field with no chance to respond. The women's 1,500 meters produced exactly the kind of race that defines championship middle distance running. It wasn't a record attempt built on perfectly even pacing. Instead, it became a tactical contest where positioning, patience, and split-second decisions mattered just as much as physical fitness. Every athlete entered the race with enough speed to compete, but only one managed to combine timing, confidence, and execution when the decisive moment arrived. From the gun, the pace was noticeably conservative. Rather than pushing aggressively through the opening 400 meters, the field remained tightly grouped, with no athlete willing to assume responsibility for setting a demanding rhythm. This immediately transformed the race into a strategic battle. In championship-style racing, slow early laps preserve the entire field, making positioning increasingly valuable as the race develops. The opening lap was less about speed and more about conserving energy. Athletes carefully monitored each other's movements while avoiding unnecessary surges. Running on the rail provided the shortest distance, but it also carried the risk of becoming trapped behind slowing competitors. Meanwhile, runners positioned on the outside sacrificed additional distance in exchange for greater tactical freedom. Every athlete had to decide whether efficiency or flexibility would become more important later in the race. During the second lap, the pack remained remarkably compact. There were no significant gaps, meaning virtually every runner still believed victory was achievable. However, maintaining such a close formation created constant pressure. Small changes in pace rippled through the group like waves, forcing athletes to repeatedly accelerate and decelerate. These subtle variations may appear insignificant on television, but they steadily increase energy expenditure and often determine who has the strongest finish. The controlled tempo also created a psychological battle. Every runner knew that waiting too long could leave them boxed in, yet attacking too early would almost certainly provide a drafting advantage to everyone behind. This hesitation produced exactly the kind of tactical uncertainty that makes the 1,500 meters one of athletics' most unpredictable events. Approaching the final 600 meters, the intensity began to rise. Athletes who had remained patient throughout the opening stages gradually moved into more aggressive positions. Elbows came closer together, shoulder contact became unavoidable, and every available lane suddenly became valuable. Instead of thinking about lap splits, the runners focused entirely on track position. This transition represented the most critical phase of the race. Unlike longer distance events where athletes can recover from small mistakes, the 1,500 meters punishes hesitation immediately. Losing even one position before the bell often requires an enormous acceleration simply to regain contact with the leaders. With just over one lap remaining, the tactical battle finally gave way to pure racing. The pace increased dramatically as multiple athletes attempted to launch their finishing kicks almost simultaneously. The compact pack instantly stretched into a long line as acceleration replaced patience. What made the closing lap particularly impressive was not simply its speed, but its complexity. The eventual winner demonstrated exceptional race awareness, choosing exactly the right moment to begin accelerating. Instead of making one explosive move that risked fading over the final straight, the acceleration was progressive. Every section of the final lap became slightly faster than the previous one, placing continuous pressure on the chasing athletes. Equally important was the efficient running mechanics maintained under maximum effort. As fatigue increased, many athletes began showing signs of tightening shoulders, shortened stride length, and increased vertical movement. The leader, however, remained remarkably composed. Relaxed upper body posture allowed more energy to transfer directly into forward momentum, preserving valuable speed over the final 200 meters. Positioning entering the final bend also proved decisive. By entering the curve from an optimal position, the leader avoided running unnecessary extra distance while maintaining the freedom to respond to attacks from either side. Athletes forced into wider lanes had to cover additional meters precisely when every centimeter mattered. The final 300 meters became an extraordinary demonstration of anaerobic capacity and tactical intelligence. Several athletes attempted to respond with powerful finishing kicks, but matching the initial acceleration proved only part of the challenge. Maintaining that speed while oxygen debt rapidly increased separated the strongest competitor from the rest of the field. As the runners entered the home straight, The entire race compressed into one final sprint. Arms pumped aggressively, knees lifted higher despite mounting fatigue, and every athlete searched for one last reserve of speed. The crowd's reaction reflected the uncertainty of the outcome. For several seconds, multiple runners appeared capable of winning. However, one athlete displayed superior finishing efficiency. Rather than dramatically increasing stride frequency alone, she combined cadence with powerful stride length, allowing every step to generate maximum forward propulsion. This technical advantage became increasingly visible over the final 100 meters as the gap gradually expanded. Behind the winner, the battle for the remaining podium positions remained fiercely contested. Athletes who had spent much of the race hidden within the pack suddenly emerged into open lanes, producing impressive finishing bursts of their own. Small differences in timing ultimately determined every medal position, illustrating just how evenly matched the field had been throughout the race. The tactical nature of the opening laps also explains why the final sprint appeared so explosive. Because the early pace never significantly depleted the athletes' anaerobic reserves, many competitors still possessed exceptional speed entering the closing stages. This created one of the fastest and most dramatic finishing laps of the entire meeting. Perhaps the greatest lesson from this race is that elite 1,500-meter running is rarely decided by fitness alone. Every decision, from where to position yourself after the first bend, to when to leave the rail, when to begin accelerating, and how to negotiate traffic, directly influences the final result. The strongest athlete is not always the one capable of producing the fastest single lap, but the one capable of making the correct tactical decisions while under extreme physical and mental pressure. This final perfectly demonstrated why the women's 1,500 meters remains one of athletics' most captivating events. Controlled opening laps created tactical uncertainty. Patience preserved multiple contenders deep into the race, and one perfectly executed finishing move ultimately separated the winner from an outstanding field. It was a masterclass in race management, composure, and championship racing, proving once again that in the 1,500 meters, intelligence is every bit as important as speed.